My boyfriend just inherited a ton of money from his father while his siblings got basically nothing, but they never made an effort to connect to their dad like he did, and now my boyfriend's getting stepped on and letting it get evenly split. I've been with my boyfriend Jack for a little over 2 years now. He's the sweetest, most considerate guy I've ever met, and we're really happy. Jack is the middle child in a family of 3 kids. Their mom passed away when he was young. Their dad was focused on his career and had little time for them, so they grew up with various nannies and maids. Dad didn't really put an effort to building a relationship with any of his kids, as children or adults. Jack's brother and sister had pretty much zero contact with the dad, but Jack, being the sweet guy he has always made an effort to keep up. I've met his dad twice, and let's just say he's a difficult man to get along with. But Jack put up with him anyway, sometimes missing out on things he needed to do just because his dad wanted something. Now his dad passed away recently and left everything to Jack. I think he left some things to the other kids, but like 99% of it goes to Jack. And turns out his father was a lot richer than everyone believed. I'm talking Jack not having to work for the rest of his life and have enough to send 3 kids to college rich. His brother and sister found out and wanted everything divided equally. Jack, being the sweet, considerate guy he is, actually agreed. We talked about it later and I was like, "Are you out of your mind? Your dad left this to you, not you siblings." He knew what he was doing. It's not like his brother and sister are poor or desperate for money anyway. The inheritance was his. I admit Jack can be a bit of a pushover, and his siblings know this. So I convinced him not to just divide everything up equally, but maybe consider giving them something more than what their dada has left. When Jack went back to them with the information and said he's discussed this with me, of course they're blaming it on me now. They're calling me a gold digger and that I'm after their money. We're not even engaged. I won't get any of this money, it's all Jack's. So am I a jerk for convincing Jack not to split his entire inheritance with his siblings? Update. First of all, thank you to everyone who took the time to reply. I feel like the opinion was split halfway on whether I was the or not, so I thought I'd post an update with more clarifications. Some of you pointed out that while saying I wanted to stop Jack from being a pushover, I did the exact thing to him myself. To them, I can see where you're coming from. This was never my intention. Jack asked for my opinion and I gave it to him. I agree I could have approached it better. Also, the one thing where I may have been a bit of an was not asking Jack why he wanted to split the inheritance. I just assumed people were trying to take advantage of him as usual and went from there. We had another discussion and I made sure to ask him this. His reasoning was that he felt his father was unfair and he wanted to do what he felt was right. He said he had no delusions that this would magically fix things between him and his siblings and they would become one big happy family. That being said, Jack had a discussion with his lawyer and his father's lawyer, who was also his father's friend. There is very little to no chance for the siblings to contest the will. The father knew what he was doing, and as his lawyer explained, he had his reasons. Turns out the father did realize he was a bad parent, and tried to rectify things by reaching out to his kids when they were all adults. The other 2 never bothered to respond, despite multiple attempts. Jack, being the sweet guy he is, never thought twice about it and reconciled the first time. He says he understands their dad didn't do the best job, but it was all in the past and he was willing to get over it. He pointed out that his father did pay for all of their adoption and is part of the reason why they have such comfortable lives now. Now the part about the inheritance. Jack still wants to split it with his siblings, but not completely evenly. His father's lawyer made it clear that it was the man's last wish that the majority should go to Jack, so Jack is going to honor that, just not be so extreme about it. Jack will be keeping around 60% of everything, and splitting the other 40% evenly between his siblings. Turns out they don't know exact numbers, so 20% would still be big enough to have them satisfied. His father's lawyer says he's going to make it very clear to the siblings that this was all Jack's money, that he's giving to them out of the goodness of his heart, and they are in no way entitled to it. My only comment to Jack at this point was to make sure that this was entirely his decision and he didn't feel pressured or persuaded in any way to do it, and that he's not doing it seeking validation from his siblings. He said he's sure, and I told him I support his decision completely. TBH, I'm very proud of him coming to a solution that allowed him to stay true to himself while not being a pushover.